The moment I saw the photo, my whole body froze, like someone had poured ice water straight down my spine. It didn't make sense at first. My brain refused to understand what my eyes were seeing. There, on the screen of my computer, was my husband, Daniel, smiling in a suit I had never seen before, standing under an arch covered in white roses, holding a woman I did not know. And the worst part, they weren't just hugging. It was a wedding photo. His wedding photo. The world around me blurred. I could hear my own heartbeat thumping inside my ears. The tabs on the website flickered at the top of the screen, someone's public photo gallery, a name I didn't recognize. And right in the middle of those photos was the one thing I prayed would never exist. His affair was not over. It was alive. It was real. And it had turned into something much worse than cheating. My hand trembled so hard on the mouse that I almost closed the page without meaning to. My breathing sped up. My vision darkened at the edges. I whispered to myself, no, 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 as if denying it would make the picture disappear. Before I could click to see the next photo, before I could confirm if there were more, there was a sudden knock on the front door. A strong one. I jumped so hard my knee hit the desk. And that's where everything began to unravel. Asterisk. 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 3 months earlier, things felt almost normal. At least, normal for someone who had survived the kind of heartbreak that shatters every piece of your trust like dropped glass on tile. When Daniel first told me about the affair, I didn't scream or cry. I think I was too shocked to do anything. He had confessed in the kitchen, holding a mug of coffee like it was a shield. He kept saying, "It's over, Emily. I swear it's over. I made a huge mistake, but I ended it." I wanted to believe him. Maybe that was my first mistake, believing someone simply because you love them enough to want their words to be true. But people in pain cling to hope the way someone drowning clings to floating wood. We went to counseling. We talked more. We tried to rebuild what had been broken. I could see how hard he was trying, or at least, I thought I did. He brought home flowers. He left little notes for me on the kitchen counter that said things like asterisk I'm grateful for you asterisk or asterisk thank you for giving me another chance asterisk. Little kindnesses matter. They do. People think kindness is weak, but it's not. It takes strength to forgive, strength to choose love even after your heart has been scraped raw. Life felt slow, careful, almost peaceful, like a quiet room where you're afraid to make too much noise. One evening, I was sitting outside on the porch steps, watching our neighbors' kids draw chalk pictures on the sidewalk. Their giggles filled the air, soft and warm. The sun was dipping low, turning everything gold. For a moment, I let myself feel thankful. I told myself, asterisk maybe life is giving me a second chance too. Asterisk. Our neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, walked over holding a tray of cookies. She was the kind of woman who believed every problem in the world could be softened by something homemade. She sat beside me and said, "Sweetheart, forgiveness isn't a straight line. Some days you'll feel okay, and some days you'll feel like it just happened yesterday. Both days are normal." I smiled at her kindness. "I'm trying," I whispered. "I know," she said, patting my hand. "Trying counts." It was one of those low, quiet moments, nothing extreme, nothing wild. Just a gentle reminder that people can be good, that kindness still exists in a world that often feels cruel. But peace never lasts forever. Not in stories like mine. One night, near the end of the second month since the confession, Daniel left his phone on the kitchen counter while he went to shower. That wasn't unusual, but what was unusual was how it kept buzzing. Once, twice, then a third time. Normally, I ignored his notifications. I wasn't a snooper. I tried hard not to be. Trust dies when you feed suspicion. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. But the fourth vibration made me glance over. Then the fifth. And then the phone lit up again, and this time I saw a preview. Just a few words. Not a name. Just a message. 8 little letters that made my stomach twist. Asterisk asterisk I miss you. Asterisk asterisk. I froze, staring at the glowing screen like it was a bomb about to explode. The air around me grew heavy, thick. My heart hammered so loudly I could hear it echoing inside my head. Maybe it was spam. Maybe it was a wrong number. Maybe it was nothing. I repeated these lies to myself as I wiped my sweaty palms on my jeans. But then the phone buzzed again. And this time, a photo preview appeared. A blurry image. Two people. A woman's arm around a man. I couldn't tell who. But the shape of the shoulder, the haircut, the posture. It looked like Daniel. My throat tightened. For a second, I wanted to throw the phone away, to pretend I hadn't seen anything at all. If you don't look at something, maybe it isn't real. Before I could stop myself, before I could think about the consequences, I picked up his phone. I didn't open it. I didn't unlock anything. I just held it in my hand. And that tiny act cracked the fragile peace we'd been building. I heard the water in the shower shut off. Panic kicked me in the chest. I placed the phone back exactly where it had been. Same angle, same distance from the napkin holder. I even lined it up with the edge of the counter. My hands were shaking. Daniel walked out minutes later, towel around his shoulders, water dripping down his neck. He smiled at me. "Hey, I'm starving. Did you eat yet? Maybe we can order something." I forced myself to smile back. "Sure," I said. "Whatever you want." But inside, something dark and cold had settled in my chest. Something I didn't want to name. A few days passed. I didn't ask him about the message. I didn't bring up the photo preview. I kept telling myself that maybe I had imagined it. That maybe I was overthinking. That maybe I was still scared. Because asking a question out loud means you must be ready for the answer. I wasn't. Not yet. Instead, I focused on being kinder, more patient, more understanding. I volunteered at the community center again, reading stories to little kids in the afternoons. Their innocence healed something in me. Kids see people as people, not as mistakes. They forgive easily. They love easily. They laugh loudly, even after crying 5 minutes earlier. Sometimes I wished adults still had hearts that soft. And for a brief moment, just a brief one, I convinced myself that everything was okay. Until one night, near the end of the 3rd month, Daniel started acting strange again. Distant. Quiet. His smiles were shorter. His eyes seemed tired. When I asked what was wrong, he said work was stressful. Maybe not. But that tiny whisper of doubt inside me was growing sharper. And then it happened. The night that changed everything. I had been searching online for ideas for our anniversary gift. Something simple but meaningful. Something that would show we were rebuilding. I clicked on a link. Then another. One page led to another. And somehow, I ended up on a public photo album belonging to someone whose name meant nothing to me. At first, I didn't pay attention. Then I scrolled. And scrolled. And suddenly, there he was. Daniel. My husband. Standing in a suit. Smiling. Beside another woman. Under a white flower arch. The caption below the photo read, "A beautiful day for a beautiful couple." My heart dropped so fast it felt like it hit the floor. That was the high, the most extreme moment, when everything inside me cracked like a plate thrown hard against the wall. Before I could click on the next photo, there was a sharp knock at the door. Not a gentle knock. A heavy one. Someone knocking like they had news they couldn't wait to deliver. I slowly turned my head toward the sound, my whole body frozen. And then, one more knock. Louder this time. My heart slammed inside my chest. Who was at the door? What did they want? And why were they knocking like that, at this exact moment? Before I could take a single step toward the hallway, something happened that made my stomach twist tighter than before. The doorknob began to turn. The shadow stepped fully into the kitchen. I couldn't see a face, only the long shape stretching across the tiled floor as the back door creaked wider. My whole body felt like it had locked into place. Every muscle froze. My mind scrambled to make sense of what was happening, but fear made every thought slippery, impossible to hold on to. The only thing I knew for sure was this. Someone was in my house. Someone who wasn't supposed to be here. Someone who had broken the back door lock with their own hands. The air changed. You can feel when another person enters a room, like the air moves differently. Thicker, heavier. That's how it felt in that moment. Heavy. Like the weight of the whole world had stepped inside. I tried to back away, but my legs didn't want to move. They felt like they had turned to rubber. The shadow took one slow step forward. Then another. Then a voice, low, shaky, almost whispering, called out. "Emily!" I swear my heart stopped beating for a full second. It wasn't the same voice from the front door. This one sounded younger, softer, more frightened than threatening. But fear is fear, no matter how soft the voice. I forced myself to speak. Who's there? The figure stepped closer, and finally, I saw the shape of a woman. She came into view as she passed by the kitchen counter. Her hair was messy, like she had been running. Her clothes were wrinkled and covered in dirt. Her cheeks were flushed red, and her hands were trembling. She looked like someone who had been crying for hours. She wasn't holding anything. No weapon, no bag, no phone, nothing. Just fear, raw fear. She stopped halfway into the kitchen, staring at me with wide, desperate eyes. Before I could ask a single question, she lifted her hands like someone trying to show they weren't dangerous. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't mean to scare you." Her voice cracked on the last word. My own breath finally came back into my chest, even though it shook as it poured out of me. "Who are you?" I whispered. She swallowed hard. "My name is Lily." The name meant nothing to me. But when she said the next sentence, everything inside me twisted. I'm the woman from the wedding photos." I felt heat rush into my face. My ears buzzed so loudly I couldn't hear the clock ticking behind me anymore. The photo of her with Daniel, the white roses, the arch, the smile that didn't match the tears on her face right now, it all hit me again, harder this time. "You?" My words stumbled over themselves. "You were at the front door earlier." She nodded, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "I tried the front. You didn't open. I thought maybe you were scared. And then I heard someone coming down the street, and I panicked, so I went around back and—" "You broke into my house," I said. My voice was tight, small. The truth felt too big to fit in the room. "I know," she whispered, looking down. "I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do." I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. My hands were shaking so badly that I hid them behind my back. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The house felt too quiet again, too still. Then Lily stepped forward, slowly, her eyes still wet. "Emily, I didn't know about you." My throat closed. She kept talking, her voice getting softer. "I didn't know he was married." A sharp pain stabbed through my chest. It wasn't anger. Not yet. It was something deeper, something sadder. Like discovering a wound you didn't know you had has been bleeding for hours. "I didn't know," she whispered again. "Not until a few weeks ago." The words hit me like cold water. A few weeks ago. Not months. Not after the affair ended like Daniel claimed. Weeks. My stomach twisted. She wasn't done. And when I found out, I tried to leave him. I swear I did. I blocked him. I moved out of my apartment. I even changed my number. But then... She stopped. Her face crumpled. "He found me." Fear flickered across her features, the kind that comes from being cornered. My mouth went dry. "Lily," I whispered, "why are you here?" Her eyes snapped up to mine, and for the first time since she arrived, her voice grew urgent. "I'm here because you're in danger." The room tilted. My vision blurred around the edges. Danger. Before I could ask what she meant, a loud buzzing sound cut through the air. I jumped, clutching my chest as I realized my phone, still on the floor from earlier, was vibrating again. Daniel's name flashed on the screen. Lily's face paled when she saw it. "Don't answer," she said quickly. "Please, listen to me first." My heart raced. "Why? What's going on?" She stepped forward again, lowering her voice to a whisper, like someone might be listening. "Because he told me things. Things I thought were sweet at first, but later I realized they weren't." Her breath shook. "He doesn't like letting go." A chill crawled down my back. I stayed at her, trying to piece everything together. The wedding photos, the messages on his phone, Lily showing up terrified, Daniel telling me not to open the door. None of it made sense yet. But it would. Lily wiped her tears, trying to steady her voice. "Emily, Daniel and I didn't have a normal relationship. At first, he was charming, kind, funny. He would write me long messages about how he felt like we were meant to be. He would bring me gifts. Big ones. He started talking about the future too fast. So fast it scared me. She hesitated. He said he could leave everything behind. Everything, if it meant being with me. My blood ran cold. But when I told him it was too much, that maybe we should slow down, he changed. Her voice dropped lower. He started checking my phone, showing up at my work, asking where I was every hour. He said it was love, but it felt like something else. Something controlling. She wrapped her arms around herself as if she were cold. When he asked me to marry him, I told him no. My breath caught, but he didn't accept no. He told me we'd just need to get married in secret. And he made it sound so romantic, like we were running away together. Her voice cracked, and for a moment, just a moment, I believed him. She looked at the floor. I wish I hadn't. Silence, heavy and painful. I didn't know whether to pity her or be furious or collapse on the spot. Lily, I whispered, but she lifted her head quickly, cutting me off. That's not the worst part. My hands curled into fists. The worst part, she said, her voice trembling again, is that when I found out he was married, he told me you were the reason he was unhappy. He said you didn't love him anymore. He said you were controlling him. He said you were planning to leave him and take everything. My jaw dropped. That's not true, I whispered. She nodded sadly. I know. I didn't believe it at first. But when I tried to break things off, he wouldn't stop calling. He wouldn't stop showing up. He told me he would fix everything. I didn't know what he meant until I saw something online. She swallowed. And when I called the number he gave me, just to tell him never to call again, he answered and said he had a plan. My heart pounded so loudly it echoed in my ears. What plan? I whispered. Her eyes filled with fresh tears. He said he wanted us to start over. A clean slate. No secrets. No obstacles. I blinked, confused. What? What obstacles? She hesitated, and then she whispered the words that made my stomach drop. He meant you. My knees almost buckled. I grabbed the edge of the counter to steady myself. The world felt wrong, slanted, tilted. My thoughts scattered like leaves in a storm. No, I whispered. He wouldn't. Lily stepped closer, shaking her head hard. Emily, you don't understand. He's not the man you think he is. When he told me about you, he didn't talk about fixing your marriage. He talked about removing you. My heart slammed against my chest. Removing me? Before I could ask anything. Suddenly, a loud bang shook the house. Not from the back. Not from the front. From the basement. Lily's eyes widened in horror. My voice came out as a tiny, broken whisper. Is someone down there? She grabbed my arm, gripping it tight. He followed me, she whispered. Emily, I didn't mean to bring him here. I thought he was gone. I thought I lost him, but he must have. Another bang. Louder this time. Like someone was slamming something heavy against the basement door. My entire body went cold. Emily, Lily whispered shakily, we need to run. But before either of us could take a step, before either of us could breathe, the basement door handle began to turn. Slowly, deliberately, the same way the front door had earlier, and the same way the back door had moments ago. The handle clicked, then turned again. Harder. Lily's grip on my arm tightened, and with one sharp, cracking sound, the basement door flew open. The basement door stood wide open, the dark hollow beyond swallowing the faint light from the kitchen. My heart pounded so loudly I thought it would echo through the walls. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs refused to move. Lily clutched my arm so hard it left an imprint in my skin. Her face was pale, her eyes wide, flicking nervously from the door to me, then back again. The shadow, this figure, stepped into view. Slowly, deliberately. Not a sound of fear, not a rush of anger, just a quiet, unnerving confidence. I couldn't tell if they were male or female. Their body was tall and lean, wrapped in dark clothes that seemed to blend with the basement shadows. Their steps were almost silent, gliding across the floor rather than walking. Who are you? I asked, my voice cracking despite my effort to sound steady. The figure tilted their head slightly, as if inspecting me, and a slow, chilling smile touched their lips. But it didn't reach their eyes. Their eyes were dark pools, impossible to read, holding a calmness that made the blood drain from my body. No answer. I swallowed hard, trying to gather some courage. Why are you here? What do you want? Finally, they spoke. Their voice was soft, quiet, deliberate, each word measured. I'm here because he asked me to be. I froze. Lily gasped. Who? Who asked you? I wanted to scream Daniel's name, but it caught in my throat. The figure's smile remained, unnerving. He thought you needed reminding. That some boundaries must be enforced. The basement seemed to grow colder. Shadows stretched toward me as if drawn to my fear. My fingers shook so badly I couldn't even hold onto the countertop. I could feel Lily's grip on my arm tighten. Emily, we need to move. Now. But my body betrayed me. My legs refused to obey. My mind scrambled for options, but every scenario ended the same way. Danger, blood, chaos. The figure took another step closer. The floorboards beneath them barely made a sound. My skin crawled. It was impossible to know what they might do next, yet every nerve in my body screamed that it could be catastrophic. Suddenly, Lily whispered, Do you think he's gone completely? I understood immediately. Daniel. This must be about him. This intruder wasn't here by accident. Someone from Daniel's secret life. Someone who carried his plans forward without mercy. I swallowed, trying to steady my shaking voice. I don't know what you mean. Just go. Leave. The figure tilted their head again, calm, deliberate, terrifying in its stillness. I can't do that. My stomach dropped. My pulse raced. A quiet panic began rising in my chest, the kind of panic that makes you feel like the walls themselves are closing in. Then they did something worse. They lifted a hand slowly, pointing to me, not threateningly, but with an icy certainty. He said, You must understand. Soon, you will. I couldn't move. I couldn't think. I just stared. Lily's whisper broke through the suffocating fear. Emily, we have to get out of the house. Now. Before. Before what? Before them. Before Daniel. Before whatever plan had been set in motion. The figure advanced another step. I could see their shadows stretching longer, merging with the darkness of the basement. Every instinct screamed run, yet my body stayed rooted to the spot. My mind flashed back to the morning, to that small moment with Hannah at the community center, when her tiny hand reached for mine and she asked if she was brave. Everyone deserves to feel safe, I remember telling her. I forced my shaking body to remember that. I tried to summon the courage I had seen in that little girl. I said, Leave, I stammered, this time trying to inject a spark of authority into my voice. The intruder stopped, tilted their head, and the shadow of a smile curved across their face. Then slowly, deliberately, they raised a hand, not threatening, but unnervingly calm. I could almost feel the silent weight of control in the room. Suddenly, Lily pulled me backward. Emily! She shouted, panicked, tugging at my arm. Don't just stand there. The figure didn't move immediately, letting us retreat a few steps into the kitchen. Every instinct told me we had to escape, but the thought of leaving the house while this intruder roamed the basement made my chest tighten with fear. Emily, Lily whispered urgently, we need a plan. I looked around the kitchen. The back door, blocked by the lingering shadow of entry from earlier, was open slightly. Sunlight had faded outside, and streetlights barely illuminated the backyard. We couldn't run through there. Someone could be waiting. The front door was too far. And Daniel, he had told me not to open the door to anyone. He hadn't arrived yet. I glanced back at the basement. The figure hadn't moved yet. Their calm, deliberate stance made them seem like they were calculating every possibility, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I swallowed hard. Lily, do you think he would hurt us? Her face went pale. Emily, I don't know what Daniel told him. But whoever this is, they don't hesitate. I've seen it before. Before. I didn't like the sound of that. Seen it before? Where? Her eyes darted to the basement door. I worked with him once. Daniel. And I should have told you. I didn't know he was married yet. I didn't know you existed. But I saw what he could do when someone disobeyed him. My throat went dry. The figure took another step forward. I could see the faint glint of their eyes in the dim kitchen light. Calm. Calculated. Waiting. My mind raced. What could we do? Hide. Call someone. The phone was still on the floor. I lunged for it. My fingers brushed the cold plastic. I could see Daniel's name still flashing. My heart leaped. Maybe he had seen the alerts. Maybe he was on his way. The figure tilted their head again, calm as ever, as if sensing my movement. They didn't speak, didn't react aggressively, just watched. I pressed the green button on the phone. Daniel's voice filled the room. Emily, are you okay? What's happening? Before I could answer, a sound echoed from the basement, a low, heavy thump, like someone slammed a fist against the wall. The intruder's body tensed slightly, still calm, but that tiny movement made me realize how powerful they were. They could act faster than I could even think. Daniel! I shouted into the phone. Someone's in the house. Basement. I don't know who. A soft click. A lock. Somewhere in the shadows, a lock clicked. The intruder didn't flinch, didn't move. Just that sound. The calmness of it made me shiver. Emily, you need to stay calm, Daniel said, his voice sharp, urgent. Do not engage them. Lock yourself somewhere secure. I'm on my way. The thought of waiting terrified me. Every second stretched like an eternity. Lily grabbed my hand. We can barricade the kitchen, she whispered. Tables, chairs, we can hold the door. I nodded, adrenaline surging. Together, we pushed the heavy wooden table in front of the basement entrance. Every step was slow, deliberate. Every movement made my pulse throb in my temples. The intruder didn't move. Just watched. Waiting. Calculating. Then, without warning, they moved. Not fast. Not loud. Not like a normal attack, but fast enough that my stomach dropped. They circled around the table, gliding closer to the side. I froze. Lily's hand gripped mine like a vice. They're around us, I whispered, my voice trembling. The figure stopped, crouched slightly, and in that moment, I understood. They weren't going to leave. They were going to make the next move. The silence was deafening. The only sound was my shallow breathing, Lily's shaky intake of air, and the faint hum of the refrigerator. Then, slowly, deliberately, the intruder lifted one hand and reached toward the kitchen table. And the table shifted slightly under their touch. I gasped. My eyes widened. Then, in a whisper that seemed to crawl directly into my brain, the figure said, "Do not make a sound." And everything went still. We weren't safe. Not even close. The intruder was in the house. Watching. Calculating. Waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And Daniel wasn't here yet. The words hung in the air like ice. Do not make a sound. Lily and I froze, our hands still clenched together, our eyes wide and locked on the shadowed figure near the kitchen table. Every muscle in my body screamed to run, to grab anything, to do something, but my mind felt locked in place, paralyzed by fear. The figure's hand rested lightly on the edge of the table. Calm, controlled, like a predator waiting for the perfect moment. They didn't move fast, didn't rush, but the quiet intensity of their presence made me feel like a small, fragile bird trapped in a cage. Time slowed. Each second stretched longer than the last. The soft hum of the refrigerator, the faint ticking of the clock, even the quiet whisper of the wind outside, all became amplified. My pulse pounded in my ears. I wanted to cry, to scream, to beg, but my mouth felt dry and useless. Lily whispered, almost inaudibly, "Emily, maybe we should hide in the pantry." I nodded slowly. My legs finally obeyed, but moving even a few steps felt like stepping through water. The intruder's eyes, or at least the faint shape of them, seemed to follow every movement. Every tiny sound we made echoed through the tense silence. We slid behind the pantry door, hearts hammering so hard it was painful. The pantry was cramped, filled with boxes of cereal, cans, and jars. I could smell the faint scent of sugar and pasta, but it barely registered over the fear coursing through me. We crouched low, backs pressed against the shelves, trying to make ourselves as small as possible. I could feel Lily trembling next to me. "Emily, do you think Do you think they're going to hurt us? I didn't have an answer. I don't know, I admitted softly. But we have to stay quiet. The intruder's voice, soft and calm, drifted through the kitchen. I know you're in there. My stomach dropped. They knew we were hiding, knew exactly where we were. I tried to steady my breathing. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. A thought flashed through my mind, one I had promised myself I would never give up. Everyone deserves courage, even when it's scary. I looked at Lily, her face pale, her tiny hand gripping mine. We have to be brave, I whispered. We have to stay calm and think. She nodded slowly, wiping her tears. Okay. I pressed my back against the pantry shelves, scanning the kitchen in my mind. The table the intruder had touched, chairs pushed aside, the faint light from the ceiling. I had to find a way out, some way to get past this shadow before Daniel arrived, or before things got worse. The figure moved closer to the table again. Their steps were slow, controlled, quiet, each one deliberate. They leaned down slightly, examining the surface as if looking for fingerprints, or something else entirely. My pulse accelerated, and then I noticed something small, almost imperceptible. Their eyes, those dark, unreadable eyes, flicked toward the small window above the sink. The street outside. I realized they weren't paying full attention to us. Maybe we had a chance. I whispered to Lily, there's a window. Maybe we can climb out if we're fast. Her eyes widened. The window. But it's small. We have to try, I said. My hands shook as I reached for the latch. I could hear the intruder moving closer. My heart jumped, but I forced myself to keep calm. We moved slowly toward the window, crouching low. Every step felt like it would give us away. The shadow's presence was suffocating, but for some reason, their attention remained partially elsewhere, focused on the table. I reached the window first. It was old, the paint peeling, but it could open. I pushed it gently, holding my breath. It budged slightly. Lily, hurry, I whispered. She struggled with the latch, small fingers fumbling. I held her hand through the gap and whispered encouragement. You can do it. We're almost out. Finally, the window creaked open enough for us to squeeze through. I went first, holding onto the ledge for balance. My feet touched the ground outside. The night air was cold and sharp, a relief from the stifling fear of the kitchen. Come on, I hissed, reaching back to Lily. She slipped through, one arm dragging over the edge, shivering. We both fell onto the grass outside, hearts pounding. My chest ached from the adrenaline. We didn't stop to look back. We ran. Down the side yard, around the corner of the house, through the shadows cast by the street lights. Each step felt heavy, but the thought of the intruder inside pushed us faster. Finally, we ducked behind a large oak tree at the edge of the property, panting and gasping for breath. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears, and Lily's trembling shoulder pressed against mine. Emily, what now? I swallowed hard. We wait. Daniel, he said is coming. We wait for him. Minutes passed. The world outside the house felt strangely quiet now. The sounds of the city, distant cars, occasional footsteps, were muffled. My mind raced with possibilities. The intruder was still inside. They had control. They could move through the house silently, doing who knew what. Emily, Lily whispered. What if he finds us? I hugged her close, trying to give her some sense of safety. Then we fight. Or run. Or do whatever we have to do. But we survive. Okay. She nodded, burying her face in my shoulder. We waited, tense, listening for any sound. Then, a low creak. Not from the house, but from the driveway. Tires rolling slowly. A car door opened. Footsteps. Heavy, familiar footsteps. My heart leapt. Daniel. Or someone else. Stay down, I whispered, gripping Lily's hand. The figure didn't come outside. I could see faint shadows moving behind the kitchen window. They were still inside. Calm. Watching. Waiting. Suddenly, headlights flooded the street. A car door slammed. Footsteps approached the front yard. Emily, do you think that's him? Lily whispered. I squinted toward the light. My stomach dropped. The figure in the basement hadn't moved, but now, from the car, I could see the shape of a man stepping toward the house. Strong, broad-shouldered. Daniel! Daniel! I called softly, but not too loudly. He froze for a moment, looking toward the oak tree. Then he started walking fast toward us. Relief flooded me, but it mixed with fear. The intruder was still inside, still in control. I whispered to Lily, "We have to make it to him, quietly." We moved carefully across the grass, crouching behind bushes and hedges. Every snap of a twig made my stomach drop. Finally, we reached the driveway. Daniel stopped when he saw us. "Emily, Lily, are you okay?" Yes, we're fine," I panted, trying to sound calmer than I felt. Inside, someone, basement, calm, calculated, dangerous, I managed to say. Daniel's face hardened immediately. "Shit. Okay. Stay here. Stay together. Don't move." Before I could respond, a new sound came from inside the house. A loud crash. The kitchen window we had climbed out of shattered. Glass exploded outward, scattering over the lawn. The figure, still calm, still silent, still impossible to read, was stepping through the opening. Daniel shouted, "Run!" We bolted, heart pounding, toward the street, but the figure moved faster than we expected. Their movement was almost fluid, predatory. Then, just as we reached the corner of the property, a faint glint caught my eye. Something in their hand, metallic, sharp, catching the streetlight. Lily screamed. Daniel turned back, his face pale. The intruder was coming. Not running, but walking slowly, confidently, deliberately, toward us. And then, they vanished into the shadows. We froze. They were gone. For now. But we all knew they hadn't left. The night air hit us like a wall as we sprinted down the quiet street, our feet pounding on the cracked pavement. Lily's small hand gripped mine so tightly it hurt, but I didn't care. Daniel ran behind us, his face set in a hard, determined line, eyes scanning every shadow for the figure we had escaped. The streetlights flickered faintly, casting long, uneven shadows that danced like ghosts across the road. Every shadow seemed alive. Every gust of wind whispered danger. My heart raced. We reached the corner and ducked behind a parked car, gasping for breath. Daniel leaned against the hood, wiping sweat and fear from his forehead. "Are you both okay?" he asked, voice rough. We're fine," I panted, though fine felt far from the truth. Lily shivered violently beside me, her small body trembling from both fear and cold. Daniel's eyes narrowed. "That intruder, they didn't follow us yet, did they?" I shook my head. They vanished. I don't know how. It was like they disappeared into the shadows. Daniel's jaw tightened. They're dangerous. Calm, calculated, faster than anyone I've ever seen. They aren't just here to scare us. They want something. I swallowed hard. "Daniel, what if it's about me? Or Lily?" He looked at us both, the street light glinting off his eyes. "I don't know. But whoever they are, they're not random. This is connected to me, to my secrets." Lily spoke softly, barely audible over our ragged breathing. "Emily, what secrets? Why is this happening?" I hugged her to me, whispering softly, "We'll figure it out. We'll be okay." Daniel glanced at me, his expression unreadable. "Emily, there's something I should have told you a long time ago, before all this, but I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't know how to explain." My stomach twisted. I didn't want another secret. Not tonight. Not ever again. But I forced myself to breathe. "Daniel, now isn't the time. We need a plan first." He nodded, eyes scanning the surrounding streets. "We need to move. That figure, they could be anywhere." We crept down the sidewalk, keeping close to the shadows, every sense on high alert. Even the softest sound, the rustle of leaves, the distant bark of a dog, made my nerves tingle. Minutes passed. The street stayed empty. The only sounds were our heavy breathing and the distant hum of traffic. My mind raced, trying to recall anything that could help us. Every detail from the basement, the calm, precise movements of the intruder, every glint in their eyes. I tried to memorize it all. We reached a small park, and Daniel motioned us to hide behind a low stone wall. The darkness of the park felt safer than the open streets. For a moment, we crouched there, silent, listening. Emily, do you remember the community center? Daniel asked quietly. You taught kids there how to be brave, even when scared. I nodded, confusion warring with relief that he was talking about something other than threats. Yes, but what does that have to do with this? He gave me a small, sad smile. Right now, all I can do is ask you to do that. Be brave, even though this is terrifying. I closed my eyes for a second, recalling the faces of the children I taught, their little hands reaching out for reassurance, their bright smiles despite small fears. Everyone deserves courage, I whispered to myself. When I opened my eyes, Daniel was watching me closely. We need to stay calm, think fast, and protect Lily. That's all that matters right now. I nodded. Okay. Calm. Fast. Protect. We crouched together, huddled behind the wall, for what felt like hours. Every rustle, every shadow, kept us on edge. But slowly, the night passed in a tense rhythm, and the park seemed quieter. Perhaps the intruder had moved elsewhere, or perhaps they were waiting. Daniel, Lily whispered, tugging at his sleeve. Why didn't you tell Mom about everything? About your other life? Daniel's face tightened. He seemed to wrestle with his words. I thought I could keep it separate. I thought it would protect her. I didn't know it would put her in danger like this. I put my hand on Lily's shoulder. It's not your fault, Lily. Daniel made mistakes, yes, but right now, we have to focus on surviving. Daniel nodded slowly, appreciating the calm reminder in the chaos. We started moving again, keeping low and sticking to the shadows. My eyes kept scanning the street, the surrounding trees, the dark corners where someone could hide. Then, a sudden sound, a metallic click. I froze. Daniel stiffened. Lily's small body pressed against me. From the shadows behind a nearby dumpster, a figure emerged. Calm. Silent. The same dark presence from the basement. My heart jumped. Daniel stepped forward. Stay behind me, he said, voice low and steady. The figure didn't rush us. They moved with the same slow, calculated confidence, gliding closer. The streetlights caught the faint glint of something in their hand. Metal. Sharp. Dangerous. Daniel, I whispered. It's them. He nodded. I know. We backed away slowly, staying in the shadows, trying to keep distance between us and the intruder. Then, without warning, the figure spoke. Come. Deliberate. I've waited long enough. The words sent a chill down my spine. I glanced at Daniel. He didn't flinch, didn't panic, just tightened his jaw. You want us to run? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Daniel shook his head. No. We need to end this. But we can't rush. The figure's steps were quiet but deliberate, closing the distance. My mind raced. How had they found us so fast? How could someone move so silently and still be so threatening? Lily whimpered. Emily, I don't want to die. I hugged her close. Sure? We're going to be okay. I promise. Just stay close. The intruder stopped a few feet away, their presence oppressive. Calm, controlled, but lethal. Suddenly, a shout rang from behind. Freeze! We all turned. 2 police cars had arrived, lights flashing. Daniel looked confused. What? The intruder's eyes flicked toward the cars. They didn't move fast, didn't panic. Calm, calculated. Then, in an instant, they vanished. Vanished. Just like before. The police officers rushed toward us. Daniel quickly explained what happened. Someone dangerous, calm, calculated, moving through our house and now the street. They might be hiding nearby. The officers nodded, their flashlights scanning the dark streets. I looked at Daniel and Lily. They are still out there, I whispered. Daniel's face hardened. And they're coming back. We need a plan. Fast. Then, a new sound. A low, metallic scraping from the alley behind the police cars. We all froze. The intruder was back. The scraping sound echoed through the alley like a warning. My stomach churned. Lily pressed herself against me, trembling so hard I thought her small body might break in two. Daniel stood rigid, eyes scanning every shadow, every corner, every dumpster. His hand rested on the small of Lily's back, steadying her, but his jaw was tight. "Stay calm," he whispered. "Stay behind me." I nodded, gripping Lily's hand. My mind raced, thinking through every possibility. The intruder wasn't just fast. They were calculated, unpredictable, impossible to anticipate. They didn't just attack. They toyed with fear, controlled the situation with a presence that made the night itself feel like a trap. The police officers moved cautiously, flashlights sweeping the dark alley. "Sir, stay close," one said, voice firm but calm. "We'll search the area." Daniel didn't take his eyes off the shadows. "They're not hiding like a normal person," he muttered. "This isn't random. They're waiting for the right moment." I swallowed hard. My mind flashed back to the basement, to the way the intruder had moved with perfect silence, gliding across the floor. My chest tightened as I remembered the glint of their eyes, dark, unreadable, terrifying. The alley stretched long and narrow, lined with dumpsters, crates, and discarded boxes. Shadows pooled in every corner, hiding the unknown. I felt my pulse in my throat. Then I heard it again, a low metallic scrape, closer this time. The officer raised his flashlight toward the noise. "Show yourself. Police." No response. Daniel's voice was sharp, low. "They are not going to answer. They never do." I squeezed Lily's hand. "Emily, what now?" she whispered, voice quivering. I looked at Daniel. We wait for them to make a move. And then, we run if we have to. But we need to stay together. The scraping stopped. Silence fell, heavy and tense. Even the distant traffic seemed to vanish. I could hear my heart beat, feel it hammering in my temples. Then, without warning, a shadow moved across the far end of the alley. Quick! Fluid! Silent! Move! Daniel shouted, grabbing Lily and pulling us toward the street. We ran, hearts in our throats, toward the nearest streetlight. The officers followed, calling for backup on their radios. I glanced back and saw the intruder again, still calm, still deliberate, but now closer than ever. Their movement was almost unnatural. They didn't run. They glided. I realized something terrifying. They weren't just stalking us. They were playing with us, testing us, drawing us into fear before the strike. We reached the main street. Daniel motioned us into a small convenience store, its doors locked but slightly ajar. He pushed us inside. "Stay behind the counter," he said. "Don't move." We crouched behind the counter, hearts pounding. I tried to calm Lily, whispering, "We're safe here. For now. Just stay quiet." Daniel stepped closer to the door, peering outside. The intruder was gone. The street was empty. My stomach twisted. "Where did they go?" I asked, voice trembling. Daniel shook his head. "They are not gone. They are always watching. Always waiting. And when they move, they'll be precise, lethal." I felt a cold chill. The thought of the intruder cycling us, waiting for the right moment, made my hands shake. We crouched in silence, listening to the faint hum of the store's lights and the distant city noises. Minutes passed, stretching into an eternity. Then, Daniel whispered, "I need to tell you everything." I swallowed. Another secret. Another revelation. I didn't want to hear it, but I knew I had to. "The intruder is connected to my past," he said, voice low. "Before we met, before Lily, I made choices. Choices I thought were buried. I thought they wouldn't come back to haunt me. But they did. And now, they are here." My mind raced. Choices? What kind of choices? Daniel's face was serious, almost pained. I was involved in something dangerous. Someone I trusted turned against me. And this person, they never forgive. They never forget. They've been planning this for years. And somehow, they found us. Lily's eyes widened. "Emily, is he going to hurt us?" I hugged her close. "No, we'll stop them. We have to stay together, and we have to be smart." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. But I need you both to understand. This intruder isn't like anything we've faced. They are calm, calculated, unstoppable if we make one mistake. We stayed in the store, silent, tense, waiting. Every noise outside made us flinch. Every shadow seemed alive. Then, a faint sound, soft tapping on glass. I froze. Daniel's eyes narrowed. They are here. The intruder's face appeared at the convenience store window, calm, unreadable, impossible to predict. The metallic glint I had seen before caught the streetlight. Lily gasped. Emily, it's them. Daniel's hand went to his pocket, retrieving his phone. He whispered, We need help. We can't do this alone. But before he could call, the intruder's hand smashed the glass window with a loud, sharp crack. The sound echoed through the empty street. I jumped back. Lily screamed. Daniel grabbed us both. Move! Out the back! We ran toward the rear alley behind the store, hearts pounding, every instinct screaming for survival. Then, from the shadows, the intruder appeared again. Calm, calculated, their footsteps silent, gliding across the ground. The metallic glint in their hand now unmistakable, a knife, gleaming faintly in the dim light. I froze. My stomach dropped. The intruder raised the knife slowly, deliberately, as if savoring the moment. Daniel shouted, Stay behind me. I felt Lily cling to me desperately. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might burst. Then, the intruder lunged. The intruder's knife glinted in the dim light as they lunged toward us. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it would explode. Lily screamed, clutching my arm, but I forced myself to think. I had to be calm, had to protect her, had to survive. Daniel reacted instantly, shoving us behind him as the intruder's arm swung past. The knife scraped against the brick wall, leaving a deep, silver mark. Sparks of panic shot through me, but I forced myself to breathe. Think. Move. Protect. The intruder was fast, inhumanly fast, but Daniel wasn't just any ordinary man. His eyes were fierce, calculating. He moved like someone who had faced danger before, someone who understood stakes higher than life itself. He didn't attack rashly. He waited, counted, and guided us safely behind another dumpster. We crouched there, trying to steady our breathing. Lily clung to me, tears streaking her face. Emily, he's going to get us, she whispered. No, I whispered back. We're not going to let him. We're going to be brave. We're going to fight. Together. Daniel motioned for us to stay low. We can't let them separate us, he said. They're trying to scare us, to make us panic. Don't give them that. Stay calm. Move together. The intruders circled the alley, knife gleaming faintly under the streetlights, silent except for the soft scrape of the blade against the pavement. Their eyes, cold, dark, impossible to read, locked on us. I felt a chill. Then Daniel whispered, They are not just dangerous, they are obsessed with me. This isn't about you or Lily. It's about me. My choices. My past mistakes. I looked at him. Then we face it. Together. We edged toward the street, keeping close to the shadows. The intruder mirrored our movement, always staying just out of reach, always in control. My palms were sweaty. My legs ached. My mind raced, remembering every moment that had led us here, the basement, the hidden photos, the betrayal, the fear, and the courage we'd had to muster every step of the way. Daniel whispered, Emily, I need you to listen. There's something you don't know about me, about why this is happening. I nodded, swallowing hard. Tell me. He took a deep breath. Years ago, before we met, I made a deal. Not a legal one, a personal one. Someone I trusted betrayed me, and I thought I had left that life behind. I thought it was over. But that person, they never forgave me. They've been waiting for the right moment to get revenge. That's why they are here. That's why this has followed me, and now it's reached you and Lily. My stomach twisted. So, this is all your past catching up. He nodded grimly. Yes, and I failed to see it coming. I thought I could protect everyone, but it's worse than I imagined. Lily tugged on my sleeve. Emily, what do we do? I hugged her to me, whispering, We do what we've done all along. Stay calm. Stay together. Be brave. Daniel glanced at the intruder, who had stopped a few feet away, tilting their head as if studying us. "You need to understand something," Daniel said firmly. "You can't scare us anymore. You can't control us. Whatever you want, we're not afraid." The intruder didn't respond. Their eyes flicked between us, then to Daniel. Then, without warning, they lunged again. Daniel stepped in front of us, grabbing a metal pipe from the alley floor. He swung it just as the intruder struck. The knife clanged against the pipe, sending sparks into the night. The sound was deafening. I watched, terrified, as Daniel and the intruder circled each other, movements precise, every strike calculated. I knew we couldn't just run. We had to help, to stay close, to support him. Then the intruder made a mistake. They overextended their lunge. Daniel seized the opportunity, pushing them back with all his strength. They stumbled, and the knife clattered to the pavement. I grabbed it instantly. Holding it tightly, I felt power I hadn't known I had. Not to harm, but to protect. To defend Lily. To defend us all. The intruder froze, surprised. Their calm demeanor cracked for a split second. Daniel motioned for us to move toward safety. "Run! Now!" We sprinted down the alley, my heart hammering in rhythm with our footsteps. Daniel followed closely, keeping an eye on the intruder. Lily clung to me, but she ran bravely, refusing to let fear stop her. Finally, we reached the street. Police sirens filled the night, flashing red and blue. The intruder's eyes flicked toward them, calculating, then vanished once more into the darkness. Daniel dropped to his knees, catching his breath. "It's not over, but we've survived tonight. That's what matters." I hugged Lily tightly. "We did it. We survived." Daniel looked at us, sweat and grime on his face, but pride in his eyes. "You both were incredibly brave. You didn't panic. You stayed together. You trusted me, and you trusted yourselves. That courage saved us." Lily sniffled, smiling through her tears. "We were scared, but we stayed brave." I nodded, smiling at her. "That's right. And you know what? Being brave doesn't mean you aren't scared. It means you do the right thing even when you are." The police finally arrived at the alley, surrounding the area. They promised to search every corner, every shadow. The intruder had vanished again, but now, with backup, the danger felt less absolute. Daniel pulled me and Lily close. "This isn't the end. They might come back. But tonight, we faced them. And we survived. Together." I held Lily's hand, squeezing it tightly. "We will face whatever comes next. Together." The three of us stood in the middle of the street, bathed in the flashing lights of the police cars, feeling a strange mix of exhaustion and relief. My body shook, but my heart was filled with a warmth I hadn't felt in months. Courage. Survival. Family. For the first time since the intruder appeared, I allowed myself to breathe deeply. The fear didn't disappear. It never would, but it was tempered by the strength we had found in each other. Daniel smiled faintly. "You know, after tonight, I realized something. Secrets, mistakes, they can haunt us, yes. But empathy, kindness, courage, those are stronger. They carry us through the darkest nights." I nodded. "We've learned that. And we've shown it." Lily hugged both of us. "I love you both. And I'm not scared anymore." I hugged her back tightly. "You've always been brave, Lily. You just didn't know it yet." The city around us hummed quietly, a reminder that life went on, even after terror. The intruder's shadow might linger, but so did our courage. And as we walked back toward the safety of home, holding hands, I knew one thing for certain. Together, we could face anything. Even the darkest secrets of the past. Even the most calculated dangers of the present. Because we had each other. And sometimes, that was enough. Make sure you subscribe for more true crime stories.